Today, I want to talk about pre-ordering booster boxes, whether I think it's a good idea or not. But before I have this discussion, I do want to say whenever I make videos that I give my opinion on a certain subject, there's a lot of people that are quick to comment that don't watch the whole video. And most of the times people will comment saying that I'm wrong, or they'll say something where I address it further into the video. So if you are one of those people that just watch like the first few minutes of a video and then comment something, just watch the whole video and then you can comment, because you might just not have to comment, because most of the times I will address what you have to say if you just watch the whole video. But today, I want to talk about pre-ordering booster boxes, specifically right now, because I feel like this is a subject that I want to talk about, because everyone knows Scarlet and Violet. There's been a whole, change of perspective on it. I don't have to keep saying it. Everyone knows that. We're on the second half of Scarlet and Violet now. There's, better sets coming out or whatever. And a lot of people I think, are getting very hyped, and people are quick to pre-order booster boxes, booster box cases months out from even the set being released, and even any cards being, I guess, leaked or anything. And that's something I want to talk about. But before I have my whole discussion about whether I think pre-ordering booster boxes is a good idea or not, and just give you guys my opinion on that, I just want to show you guys Stellar Crown and Surging Sparks, how much you can get them for when they're going to be released, if you guys don't know anything about that, because these are the two sets that I feel like have been getting hyped, more Surging Sparks than Stellar Crown, at least right now, but I do want to show you guys these sets if you guys don't know anything about this. So, Stellar Crown is going to release in a couple days, so it's at this point barely a pre-order, but it is, going to release in a couple days from here. You can get a sealed case on eBay from Flipside Gaming for $593. That's obviously very cheap. It is most likely, and this one thing I will say already about pre-ordering, most likely the pre-order prices, it's very unlikely it's going to go under that at all. Because you can see here, it's under $100 per booster box. It is very unlikely. You can see with the rest of Scarlet and Violet, other than the base, none of the sets or none of the booster boxes really went under $100. Like some of them went maybe around 95, like Paradox Rift. But other than that, for the most part, pre-order prices are usually around the cheapest you can get. It's possible, like I said, with Scarlet and Violet base, it's possible you can get them for cheaper. But other than that, it's pretty safe, and that's why I feel like a lot of people do it. But I still want to, have more of a discussion at the end. But here you can see you can get them for this price, very cheap. And then going on to the Stellar Crown set list, I'm not gonna really say much here. There's, I feel like Stellar Crown is pretty split on being, is it a good set? Is it not? It's pretty split. Definitely, I will say the cards in here that are 100% going to be very popular and probably valuable is the Bulbasaur, the Squirtle, and probably the Terapagos. I think these are probably going to be the most expensive cards. Maybe some of these SIRs trainers, I don't really know. But I just don't think Stellar Crown is that great, just in my opinion. It is a smaller set. I just don't think there's much going for it, especially with Surging Sparks and at least the cards we know of now. I think Surging Sparks is better, but that's just my opinion. I don't want to cause any FOMO or anything, but that's just what I see. So there's Stellar Crown for you. Then Surging Sparks, it's going to release in a couple of months from now, and this is like specifically what I want to talk about is that Surging Sparks is going to be released in 2 months now, and people are already making opinions on something that hasn't been released at all, or even the full set list hasn't been released. But it's going to be released in November 8th, which is about 2 months from now, and you can already pre-order for $600 for a case. So obviously, very cheap, still around $100 per booster box, very cheap. And that's why people like pre-ordering, because they're like, you know what, if the set is popular, whatever, at least I got them for a very good price. And like I said, it's very unlikely a lot of these boxes go under that price. So very cheap. And then you can see with Surging Sparks, the illustration rares, I feel like are already just, I don't know, in my opinion, a lot better than the previous set I just showed you, Stellar Crown. And specifically, I feel like one thing this set has over Stellar Crown is because it has Latios and Latios cards. There's a Latios here in the illustration rares. And also, I think there's supposed to be some Black Kyurem card or something. But another thing this card or this set has that, Stellar Crown doesn't really have is the W word cards. I'm not going to even say it, but you guys know how it is. You can see there's one here, and then there's an SIR right here. Obviously, pull rates and all that stuff matters. I understand that. And that's another thing that people don't really talk about, which I'm going to get to. But just in general, just looking at this set, I think it's already a lot better. There's a Latios card here. And I don't really have to say much more. I think just objectively, even before the set's released, I just think this is a better set. But now, I guess talking about, pre-ordering and what my opinions on pre-orders are. I feel like, okay, if you're going to pre-order, I personally really don't, because I have my own strategy, but this is how I see it. Pre-ordering, I think, is smart to a certain extent. I feel like you shouldn't just go all in and pre-order all the position you want in a certain set, because I feel like, without any data to go off of, you don't know how pull rates are going to be. You don't know how the print run for the set is going to be. You don't know how all these factors are going to be. If you're going to put all your money into pre-orders right now, and let's say the set is somehow a bust or something in the beginning, you kind of just wasted your time, maybe a little bit of money, buying a set that maybe isn't that popular. For example, Paradox Rift. Let's say you pre-ordered Paradox Rift, you spent all your money you wanted to on Paradox Rift. Paradox Rift, if you don't know right now, you can get for $95. Paradox Rift at release was probably around $95 to $100, and it's about a year old now. So you just wasted all that time pre-ordering, and you spent all that money on a set that I think in the long run is going to do good. But in that time frame, in a year, you didn't have to buy it because the prices didn't do anything. So I feel like if you're going to pre-order, honestly, my strategy and my, I guess advice would be to do kind of half and half. You can pre-order some because they are very cheap. Like I said, it is very unlikely a booster box is going to go under $95 to $100. But at the same time, if the set somehow gets printed a lot, or maybe if the pull rates are super easy, whatever the case may be, at least you only bought half, and you can buy, whatever you want later, and maybe it'll dip down more. Who really knows? But I just think the whole idea around pre-ordering and just, pre-ordering everything, I think is just not a good strategy. I think you should do a little bit of both. Just pre-order a little bit, and then you can actually decide what you want to do after a set has been released. Because you got to imagine that, cards, even though, cards has very good artwork, and before it gets released, you might say, oh, this set is going to be very good. It probably will be. But short-term wise, depending on how easy the pull rates are, the card prices, all that stuff matters. So if a card is very cheap but it has good artwork and stuff, it's possible that the set maybe won't be that expensive, at least in the beginning, because they're just easy to pull, because that's part of it in the beginning, right? If there's no expensive cards in the set, most likely the booster box isn't going to perform that well. Look at Paradox Rift, look at Obsidian Flames. I know that's a little bit of an anomaly, it has been going up. Look at Scarlet Violet Base. They all don't have any expensive cards, and you can see with the box prices, they haven't done anything. But look at Paldea Evolved, look at 151, look at Twilight Masquerade. All of those sets have expensive cards in them, hence why the product prices are so expensive. So my thing is that you don't know the demand for cards, you don't know the prices of the cards, you don't know the print run for all this stuff. If you're going to just pre-order everything before the sets gets released, you risk the chance of, maybe just, wasting time, because long run, yes, it won't really matter, but maybe in a year, it's not going to do anything. Like I said, with Paradox Rift, Scarlet Violet Base, if you would have pre-ordered those, you would have probably wasted some time, because you could have bought, for example, Twilight Masquerade, and you would have done much better. So that's just kind of my opinion on pre-ordering. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. Just be careful, especially when you're pre-ordering without even any cards being leaked or anything like that. There's plenty of people that do that because they are FOMOing. I just think it's not that great of an idea to do that. And especially if you're watching the end of this video, this is what I also have to say, is that most likely these booster boxes, I mean, we've seen it with Twilight Masquerade, is that when a set gets released, let's say you could pre-order a booster box for $600 for a case, which is very good, right? Even if a set is very popular and the cards are expensive and the set is probably going to perform, most likely you will be able to get that pre-order price within like a month or a few weeks from release. Like, it is not one of those things where pre-ordering prices at $600, as soon as the set gets released, you can't get it for that anymore. That is not true at all. And that's why my strategy is not to pre-order, because most of the time you can get the pre-order prices after a set has been released, and you can see how the set has done. You can see, oh, this card's really expensive, this set is going to be very good, and all these other factors. So I just think that it's pre-ordering, it doesn't really matter to me, because I can get that price or pay $10 more per case or $20 more per case and know the set is good. So that's just my opinion on that. And yeah, that's all I really have to say, is that pre-ordering, it's fine, but I feel like there's more risk to it than some people think, especially when people go heavy on pre-orders. I guess I can give another example with Twilight Masquerade. Everyone knew that set, when the Greninja card and all that stuff was going up in price. Even when that was happening, you guys remember Twilight Masquerade booster box cases, when Greninja it was known this box was going to do good because the Greninja card was just shooting up in price. You could get Twilight Masquerade booster box cases for $600, and this was months after it was released. I got my case, you guys know, I made the whole video about it. I bought my Twilight Masquerade booster box case for like $630, and that was a few months after the set had been released, and the Greninja card was super expensive, and that's why I bought Twilight Masquerade, is because I saw the box, going up in price, and I saw also the cards, Greninja and all these other cards that were very expensive, the Eevee. I saw everything, so that's why I bought it. And I only paid $30 more per for the booster box case, and I purchased a little bit earlier. If I waited, there was Flipside Gaming who was selling it for $600. So that's all I have to say. I know I rambled a little bit at the end, but hopefully this kind of gives you a perspective on pre-ordering and some stuff to think about before you go all in on pre-orders. So that's all I wanted to say today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.